Today we're going to be reading a short excerpt from the novella Matthew and myself. A bit more on this, so sorry. To the floor with a weightless crash, my knees were shaking and my arms were shaking, my breath shook, and the next thing I knew I was on the floor. I was covered in my own sweat, my head felt like it had been punched metal. The smell of metal and the taste too, bloody bastards down and out as ever. Hot and wet everywhere, hot and wet and antique, older than I was around. Ending only when I found my knees and my hands and then my feet with those same hands and then put them beneath me, throbbing with the effort of 1,000 men. Images flood again, too numerous to indicate a name, too alien to otherworldly, to know the plaintive wails of their sounds, their image sounds, pure image, sucked up and shot in and out.
It's an equivalent exchange, adulterous alchemy, altering the way we look at each other. Where's the imp? The imp was nowhere. The imp was there, somewhere between the sheets of concussion, fluttering like corn print curtains over a blue kitchen window, his pinkness disguised by warped colour theory. A bulbous nose poked out and wiggled, sniffing, scenting me, scenting us. For the pink imp was going nowhere, and this I understood better than the fact of my palpitating heart being close to bursting. Blood pressure, like a stroke waiting to pierce through a half-decent thought, peddled by a chimp philosopher with a degree in ergonomics, everything perfectly moulded for a fist that doesn't fit and isn't human.
My hands locked within others, scenes shifted, others somewhere different and strange trees. Toto sailing through the interstellar mediums of a relayed trifle at the opening event of a slime manufacturer's factory that does frog spawn. Indisciplined, boyo, out of order, you're a bog, honestly. Everyone fills you with their shit and you just munch it down, nasty little copperphage like you are, nasty little horrible animal man. And I was screaming 1,000 billion nerve endings severed from their spine and brain cells, set on earth as their own, purely felt creature of undiagnosed disease. I was stripped, my clothes sailing high and into the needle canopy, my hair plucked in one great tweeze.
All orifices sealed shut by pink paraffin wax. Cock and balls twisted into balloon animals and removed by bite. Appendectomies performed on every inch of my skin before it sloughed off and the air cut my muscles and a sinew and skin and ligament and vein, arterial spurts of my vitality, my gore and viscera evaporating in the near total vacuum of the imp and his other spaces wherever I found myself now. And by then I was bones. Just bones with no marrow, all leaked in a long slug's trail down the concrete forest path lined by other pink creatures of ununiform size and form and mass. Some bend the light around them in gravitational lensing, some leave it to the floor with a weightless crash. My knees were shaking and my arms were shaking and my breath shook, and the next thing I knew I was on the floor. I was covered in my own sweat and my head felt like it had been punched.
First sight of the interloper, which without speaking or thinking it I was, I did not belong there and my body knew it, and I was ripping myself apart rather than being subjected to the experiential trip of an inner broken ankle in the badger den of letters spreading virus particles of lit pages, shredding their own symbols into the dirt to be figured out at a later date by the mycelium and microbes that call the underground home. This was the dirt and the little cracks in the gutter. It gets filled with little corners of jockey wrappers. This was the underside of a burning breast. This was the foam of the sea. This the little swimming in the river and the slit between the toes. And this was the belly of the fish. And this was the walking towards the shop on a summer afternoon in
Mediterranean feet. This was the forest autumn. This was the belly of a pig. This was the microblade of a razor. This was the Watsits of crisps. This was Merry, Merry Christmas. This was Yule, logs and fires. And this was Adonis. And this was weeping at the end of the harvest. This was this. Is this. This is to be. This is to be and was and currently is the continuity of time and the existence of time, a time outside of the time. This was in all sense all of time itself. And without out of this time was a faceless peasant covered in the slop and shit of their master's porky behind. And all of life, I realized then, was me sitting like an ice cream cone beneath the whippy stream of my landlord's arse. And when he pulled that lever into my coney mouth would fall his whippy excrement. And that was why I was so easily without which, said to the push,
I'm not scared of anything. Or wasn't. There is nothing that I can see. There is nothing, some ancient hairy willow tree, beautiful, what of the scene could my nose catch? What of us could break the bark, the beautifulness? What of us would know? What can you smell? What do you know of smelling? This could not be smelled by him, I continued. How can you? Or how could it? It didn't matter. I wouldn't be smelling clove, and being a 13th century Nordic peasant, I wouldn't know anything about it. I swim from the whale's belly. And Push just looked at me. Careful, my friend. What are you scared of? I'm not scared of anything, he says. There's nothing to be scared of. Not with the word. Me diving into the water and I watched the sun. Next to me sat a little pink man. Here I am, he said. Here I am, and what are you going to do? My dick is so big that it slips out of my trousers. My vagina is so wonderful it could birth Mother Nature herself. I am all of this, and in that moment he disappeared, or rather transformed into nothing. And then I saw him, and he looked like a woman, and he stepped out of the water. She stepped out of the water where I had expected the Push to come out, and she was clad in nudity in little pages of Julian Norwich, Revelations books. And she was down and swayed her hair at once, and it was the willow tree, and a page of ketamine, and anything else unheard of in the diary. Thank you.